Hey guys, Captain Matt here with the Lighting Trade School podcast, coming with another weekly episode of landscape lighting knowledge drops. I am here again with the Glow Daddy Shane Duffy at Glow Geeks. No, he is with Glow Geeks, and he's in Texas. How's it going down there, Shane?
What's up, man? I'm good. Happy Liberation Day, as they say.
Oh, Liberate? Yeah. What is
it? Miami Dade sent me a text this morning because we're cyber buddies, with our cyber truck. So we text back and forth. Like, Happy Liberation Day, which is more of a Trump thing than a cyber truck thing, but
okay. I'm out of the loop here. Anyway, we're here also with Nate, the Illuminator, Mullen, mine and Shane's mentor. Nate, it looks like you are in a RV. Have you totally blown all your money and now live in the trailer park?
No, thank God I got into outdoor fucking lighting. So you're never out of money when you do lighting. That's a positive about that. In construction, that was probably true stories in construction. But no, we do an annual trip around April 1st off-roading. So we're in a 7-8 day off-roading adventure. Happy to take time with you, though.
Hell yeah. That's awesome.
You're saying for 7 straight days, you guys just off-road in the middle of nowhere, sleep wherever, bring food and drinks along the way, and just ride.
Well, we come back. It's not, more like 10 hours. It's not point to point. So we come back to the motorhomes as a hub, but there's 3,000 miles of trail. So yesterday we were probably literally 100 miles from anywhere, anything, no gas station, no stores, no phone, no vehicles. We put about 500-600 miles on since Saturday. And truly have not seen one person in the middle of the desert where we're at. We're in the Mojave Desert, and it's massively big, hundreds and hundreds of miles in any direction.
Wow. Sounds badass.
It does sound badass.
All right. So we're going to jump into today's topic. We're going to talk a little bit about misconceptions in the industry, in the landscape lighting industry. From things from power supplies to Kelvin temps, to maybe some, tips that you're getting from other people, just in general. I don't know exactly where this is going to go, but we thought it was a great idea. We have a Facebook group called the Illuminati Lounge Club. You can join that. That's totally free. It's different than our we have a monthly call thing. You can check that out. But, so lots of guys are on there asking questions. I think there's like 400, 500 members right now. And so there's so much interaction on there, but you get so many differing answers. So as like a new guy, it can be totally overwhelming. Who the hell do you listen to? Who's right? Who's wrong? So we'll get into that a little bit. Before we jump in, I want to talk today about, our sponsor again is Lifetime Lighting Systems. We'll talk to the founder, Nate, the Illuminator Mullen. Obviously, he is a co-host here, and he graciously sponsors all of mine and Shane's crazy, wild digital ideas. Check out Lifetime Lighting. They are badass American-made fixtures. There's copper, there's brass, and there's advanced composite. So no matter what you're doing, Lifetime Lighting Systems has the fixture for the application that you're looking for. So check them out, lifetimelightingsystems.com. All right. So the other day I'm on the internet and I'm searching, I'm reading like message boards from back in the day. They're talking about transformers, or they're actually talking about the history of landscape lighting and talking, obviously Bill Loughlin came up, the transformer came up, Nate came up when Nate was the founder of Unique Lighting, but they were talking about the power supply, and there was this whole conversation that went on about how Nate Mullen had created a multi-tap transformer, and the guy said that was because everyone was lying about voltage drop, but no one could come in and really explain what that meant. I'm not sure I know what that means. So Nate, as the inventor of the multi-tap transformer, when you came out with it, give us like a little history, like why you came out with, why did someone mention that the industry was lying about voltage drop? I don't even know what that means. Can you kind of give us a little history there?
Yeah. So when I sit there and I ask, when I meet people today, and we teach people, obviously, as we all do through seminars and stuff, and they want to get into outdoor lighting, we pretty much tell them what I did, and I think you guys did. We always say, go do 10 jobs, right? Do them for free, do them for cost, go out and get experience under your belt. That's exactly what happened to me. So I got fucked for $2 million December 18th of 1989 because I was electrical contractor, worked for the 23rd largest builder in the United States just as a detail, right? So I went from 100 guys to 2 guys, and I always messed around with outdoor lighting. So anyway, I decided to get into outdoor lighting. And I do exactly what I've told you guys and everybody. Go do 10 jobs. So I called 10 people that had money, nice yards. I'm going doing my first job. As an electrical contractor, I had used the MR16 lamp to light up jewelry stores, furniture stores, clothing stores. I know the power of it. And I know it's, really we're using all 3000 Kelvin. And I
Was
know,
that was that
pardon?
a like a line voltage MR16, or you were using
Yeah.
low voltage then even?
No, they're all low voltage, but everything in electrical, they have a transformer inside the housing of the fixture. So there's
Oh,
never a voltage drop, but they're all 12-volt light bulbs. Okay. All right.
okay.
But it has a transformer built in. Okay. So now I go out to my very first job, and there was a guy by the name of Bill Laughlin of Nightscaping, and he had produced a formula. So I used the formula, and I'm getting 8 volts to light bulbs. And when you get 7, 8 volts to a halogen lamp, it turns yellow. So effectively, I got between 2200 and 2700 Kelvin, which is a yellow, emits like a yellow lamp because the halogen doesn't have the proper voltage to regenerate the tungsten on the inside of the glass. So anyway, so I called Bill and I said, Bill, you don't know me, but I've decided to be a lighting guy and I've used your formula and the light bulbs are yellow. And he goes, well, that's impossible. Everybody uses this formula. We've never had an issue. And I went, well, I'm telling you, Bill, I have a fucking voltmeter and it says 8 volts and your formula says it should be 12. So he just denied, and went back. And of course, went back to my office. I'm a big research guy. And of course, within, I don't know, fucking 2 minutes, I find out that the formula he was presenting to the public was wrong and made up.
So
So,
you as a electrical contractor, you're coming from a place of like everything was just coded, everything was completely honest, and if this was the formula, you just knew it was going to work in your electrical contracting days. So then now you're saying with this Laughlin's voltage drop, you're saying that was just it wasn't provable in the field when you were actually utilizing and testing.
well, the reason I'm going to tell you was made up in a lie. In formulas in electrical, you use amperage, not wattage. The only time you use wattage in a formula is when you're calculating the energy consumption to give you a price per kilowatt energy usage. So he had used watts. He had made up the formula, used a constant of 7,500. It's a made up number. So once I delved into it, everything was made up. And forget why he did that. Well, I'll tell you why I believe he did. I believe that if he'd have been honest, not one person would ever use low voltage, because back in those days, which led me to your question is why I came up with the transformer, is because you could not back in those days do low voltage lighting properly because voltage drop was so radical, so quick, it incurred so fast. So I realized on my very first job that I would not be able to make a career at low voltage lighting, which led me to develop a multi-tap transformer. So I realized that I had to start out with a higher voltage.
Hold on, real quick before you dive into that. So you keep talking about halogen. I don't know. I've replaced halogen bulbs, never installed them. So we use like a 4-watt bulb typically, right? Well, compare it to halogen, is it more than 4 watts then typically?
Yeah, we were using the minimum we would use would be a 20 watt, but for the bulk of 90% of what we did was a 35 watt. So call it 10 times more for the sake of argument in math,
Yeah.
10 times more. So we had 10 times more the drop in voltage. And remember, well, just like a LED, once a halogen reached 10.8, it didn't go into its regeneration cycle. So you had a 1.2 window on a 12-volt transformer. Now, every transformer out there, AC magnetic transformer, which the bulk of everybody uses, they're all automatically going to drop between 0.5 and 1 volt. So you have a 12-volt transformer, it's going to be 11. Well, Jesus Christ, do the math. If you're coming out with 11 volts at a transformer and you can't get lower than 0.2 to give you 10.8, you're lost. So, I mean, my first job, knowing because of my electrical background how bright and crisp those halogen lights were, my landscape lighting jobs were terrible, which is why I used the voltmeter. And then it was like, oh my God, I gotta buy it. So being an electrician, I didn't invent the concept of a transformer. When you look up any overhead line in any city in the United States, you got transformers. So it's going to go from 42,000 volts to 12,000 volts to 480 down to your home voltage to 12240. So it was so easy for me to say, well, fuck it, I just need to make a transformer. So what was funny, so I started off with a transformer. It was a 560 watt transformer. It was 180 watts on a 12 volt, 180 watts on a 14, 180 watts on a 16 volt tap. So basically 3 transformers in one around one coil, which was the stupidest thing ever because you can't manage, well, how do I put 180 watts on 12 or 14 or 16? So it was really stupid. Then I came up with a single core and then went from 12, 13, 14. And that was fucking stupid. I need to go longer. And then 12, 14, 15, 16. Well, that was stupid. I need to go longer. So I ended up having an 840 watt transformer that went 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 18. So it gave me six volts.
When you say those volts, 18 volts.
Yeah. So it's multi-tap. So it's the same transformer everybody uses today, but they limit it to 15 volts. I think unique lighting still will go up, make a 20 volt, but for the most part, transformers are all made in China now. They're all China shit, and they're 12, 13, 14, 15 volt, which when your current's wattage is 10 times lower, you can probably get by with it. But yeah, so it forced me to make my transformer, forced me to be able to get the adequate voltage to the lamps. And then as luck would have it, every single manufacturer out there, which is beyond crazy, every single manufacturer out there endorsed that formula. So I had through 5 years, obviously developed my lighting career, and then I started selling to a company, which by
Wait
the way,
a second. When you said so you did your first job, found out the formula was shit, but now you've been doing it 5 years. Were you using just ones that you made for yourself, like these multi-tap transformers, or were you just working alongside of what was in the industry? That's that 12 volt.
Oh, no. So for the very first job, I realized that I had to hire electrical engineer and start developing this transformer. So right off the onset, from the first job, I started developing the transformer, which took several months because I had to go through this progression, like I said, between this 3-core transformer, if you will, 12, 14, 16, all the way up to an 840 watts. So, that took months and months and months. So I had to, use a lot of higher wire and do a lot of different things to mitigate that problem. But so we'll just say it took 3 months to develop the first transformer that worked. And then over the period of years and years and years, I had guys started going, how are you doing these massive jobs? Well, I make this transformer. So I started selling products, started selling my well lights and my transformers. Then I was buying all my wire from a company called Imperial Irrigation, which just, by the way, was bought by Heritage, which Home Depot just bought Heritage for, I think, 16 billion. But one of the companies they bought was Imperial. So the guy that was the son-in-law for the daughter of Imperial said, oh my God, my father-in-law loves outdoor lighting. So anyway, so I went up, started selling him like 100 transformers a month. So I'm a lighting guy and I'm selling now product on the commercial side, if you will, or the retail side, however you want to look at it. And anyway, long story short, I thought, well, this is pretty bitching. Why don't I just start becoming a real manufacturer? So I quit outdoor lighting and started unique lighting. And then what happened is, because I went to these higher voltages and I'm out there doing seminars and trying to get people to stock my product, every single manufacturer ganged up against me and said I was wrong. I was wrong. I had to sue most of them, and they would be burning down homes because I was coming out with a 20 volt tap, and they said the wire was only good for 12 volts, so on and so forth. So luckily for me, they fought me, which is, I don't even understand why they fought me. And they told everybody I was wrong. Well, because I wasn't wrong and a voltmeter doesn't lie, it allowed me to get such a massive foothold in the United States. By the time they ended up coming out with a multi-tap transformer, I was already selling more transformers than anybody, and I was dominant in the United States. So because of their ignorance and their stupidity, and I mean ignorance, because I've said this, you guys know this, and I don't like talking in absolutes, which is always wrong, but and I'm going to say this, certainly back in those days, there was not one manufacturer in those days that had ever done a lighting job ever. Typically, they fly to China, they relabel. Typically, they just are big companies that get into some type of line division and start a line extension. So, so I was really lucky.
Millions of dollars later.
Well, yeah, if they would have had some type of a brand and then understood this, they would have knocked me off. They would have made the transformer. Back in those days, I didn't patent anything, so they could have easily knocked me off because I had nothing proprietary, if you will. And I would not be here today. I would still be I'd still be a lighting contractor, good or bad, right?
Would not be in the middle of the Mojave Desert, riding, going on an epic 7-8 day ride.
Yeah.
So I guess you have a history of just everyone in the industry coming against you, right? We're seeing that now with lifetime lighting systems. Everyone wants to run their mouth and just spew lies because they're scared. Because, I've talked to some people, and some people just don't know who you are. They don't understand the contributions that you've given them to even make a living. These guys, because most of them are using your fixtures or your patents that have been knocked off. But it's the same thing again now with lifetime lighting, right? People are coming against us, saying you're a liar, saying that it's dangerous, and it's just all made up. And so I guess it's funny to see, hear that history and now see it repeating itself, because now in 5 years, when the industry is like shit, of course Nate wasn't lying. Why would Nate lie, right? Because Nate can sell products without lying. So why would he lie, right? Like, and Nate comes from that electrical contracting background. So of course, that's one of the hardest parts of working with Nate. I'm sure Shane can attest to this, is he never stops thinking or dreaming or imagining, right? Like every time we meet him, he's like, oh shit, I got an idea. And he keeps these notebooks everywhere on his body, and he writes it down. And then he goes and does something about it. He doesn't just write it down. It's really hard to be like, hey, I love this fixture. He's like, yeah, it's shit. Already changed it. Oh shit. Okay.
He does that all the time, doesn't he? It's like, yeah. Nate, would you just sit still for just a month and stop making things better? Like, I'm already getting used to the last best thing. Nate, Matt, you just made me think of a question. Just someone like Nate, you have a lot of haters. Is that just something that when you're on top, you just kind of collect a lot of haters? Or is Nate's personality just collect people that, I don't know, just want to bring him down? I don't know. In my mind, I'm like, why wait till I have haters like Nate? Because that means
yeah, right,
millions more in the bank, right?
Well, I think it's a tribute to several things, and obviously I don't know the exact answer. I can just formulate an opinion based upon events that have happened over 30 some years, 35 years now. But obviously, when you go back to unique lighting, getting back to the transformers, and literally I had to sue a lot of people because they would say I burned up houses and burned up wire. And what would happen is they would literally say the 20 volts on the transformer, putting 20 volts out will melt a 12 volt wire. They say that. I burnt down houses. Well, I would just take the wire, I would just hold it up, and I would say, you see what the wire says? Good for 300 volts. They're just lying to you. Well, now I'm calling out as a liar because they were liars, right? Well, now, they're out there. So if you don't hear the other side, there's half the people that are thinking I'm burning down houses and I'm the liar, right? Because they weren't, they're not subject to the truth. So there was this whole thing out there of, am I a liar? Am I not a liar? Am I burning down houses? Am I not burning down houses? Right. So there was this whole thing. And then, at trade shows, because construction taught me to fight. So if you're lying to me, I'm going to go up in front of you, in front of wherever you're at in a booth at a trade show, and call you out, you lying motherfucking piece of shit. Go fuck yourself. And that's the nature from construction.
That's how you get haters.
That's how you get haters. But it's do that, right? If anybody's out there in construction, if you don't get up and fight, you're going to get crushed every single day. So you have to fight and protect yourself.
Let's jump on that real quick because I know some of the history there. You come from at a young age, you were kind of forced to either figure it out or starve, right? And I think that's where your fight probably comes from, right? Like that originates from. You were at what, 17, maybe 16, 17 out there doing electrical work. And as a young guy, I mean, I've got a young face, right? I'm 41. I look younger, right? So it's hard, even for me. Sometimes it's hard for people to take me serious. I can't imagine little teenage Nate Mullen, you motherfuckers, right? And people trying to take him serious. So you've talked about that before, right? But
Well, having
you
a
had
No,
to
that's what
fight.
happened. I was
40
licensed at
guy.
17, I had my own company, and I had long hair back in those days. And yeah, I'm dealing with older guys, and arguably they could be smarter than me for sure, but they're trying to just push me over, and you got to fight, right? And if you don't, you get pushed over. So yeah, it came from a very young age, and then you just hold your ground. And then I get into you just get into this business, and at the best time of my life I had were basically when I was an install contractor, 90 to 95, and everybody's happy, and it's just great. I hated construction. Every day was a fucking fight. I hated my life in construction. And then I got the best life in the world when I was lighting contractor. Then I move into manufacturing. It's like, why am I fighting again? Right? It's crazy. Right? And you're fighting with people that are ignorant and stupid. It's one thing to be able to debate somebody that's intelligent, right? And then they have some type of grounds that they're bringing up that is, maybe it makes sense, a foundation. But I'm finding people that are ignorant and stupid. And now, like you said, Matt, we're living it again. And I don't know, you had mentioned it, then we got sidetracked about we're fighting again. So I don't know what
So
we're
if you could
fighting. It's crazy.
rewind time, would you have stayed as just a outdoor lighting contractor and never even started Unique? And you went from 100 employees back in electrical contracting to just a couple in outdoor lighting to back up to 100 employees with Unique lighting. Would you have stayed small and kept it all? Which is saying you've heard you say.
I'm sure over cocktails and a cigar, I've thought about that. But I get up every fucking day and go to work. I don't dwell on the past. It's like when we're off roading. I make a wrong turn tomorrow and go down a fucking cliff and I fucking break my front end. I don't dwell on that I made a wrong turn. It's an event that happened, right? I've had a great life in outdoor lighting. I had a great life as a contractor. I've had a great life at Unique. I got a great life. So do I regret it? Absolutely not, right? But I had a better life or worse life? I don't fucking know.
For us normal folks, over here, would you advise someone like Matt? Hey, Matt, don't go down this road with 100 employees. Just stick where you're at.
So should I open up Captain Matt's Manufacturing, or should I stay Barefoot Lighting? Right? Is that kind of the question?
If you were to ask me that question, when I started June of 95 Unique Lighting, if you would ask me that question and say 98 or 99, 3-4 years into it, I would have said I 100% regret opening a manufacturer company. I did not draw a paycheck for over 3 years, and I put millions of dollars into Unique Lighting. So without drawing a paycheck. So it just took capital that I had invested, to be able to do that. It's very expensive to start it's very expensive to start a true manufacturing company. You can get companies out there that they just fly to fucking China and they pretend they're manufacturers, and all they do is relabel. Like that's why it's like I call it bottles of ketchup. I can become a ketchup manufacturer tomorrow, and all I do is fly to fucking XYZ ketchup and I rebottle it and put my name on it, and then I pretend I'm a manufacturer. That's 90% of these fuckers that are out there today. It's all the same shit. So, but still though, you still have to have distribution, and you still have expenses, and you still have to buy inventory, and you still have to do a lot of things. So manufacturing is not cheap; it is expensive. But getting back to whatever you want to do in life. So when I went from 100 guys being electrical contractor, started my landscape lighting company, I had heard this saying, and I don't remember where I heard it from: keep it all, keep it small. Right. And that's what I loved about outdoor lighting. 2 employees working out of my house. Right. Never an issue. I'm not putting out fires. I made my own schedule. I made more money than I ever made in my fucking life now. I never had cash flow problems. You're in construction, you got cash flow problems every day. People are always owing you fucking money. Right. So, so I really like that. But, I think we've talked about it before. I thought about my future, and was my landscape lighting sellable at that time? If I got into manufacturing, I had now invented quite a few products, right? I started patenting things. And I thought, well, I could have a serious big company, right? Yeah. So I made the decision, right or wrong. But
what happened to your lighting company that you had from 90 to 95? What was that called? And is it dead now?
No, I gave it to my landscape lighting company. I gave it to my brother. No, it's still in existence today. He's relabeled it. My company was named Illumination. He renamed it to Artistic Illumination. No, it's still in business today, and I don't even know. Typical, right? I mean, I was supposed to retain some ownership, and it's fine, right? But it's probably. I mean,
there's another lesson there.
Yeah, I don't even know how many jobs. It's probably up into 5,000 jobs now. I mean, a big number. And the nice thing about that, when we just got off, as you guys know, our weekly call about maintenance, and she probably has 500, 1,000 maintenance contracts. So when we hit 07, 08, 09, right, that's no one's spending any money back in those days. If you guys remember 07, 8, and 9, 10. He kept him in money by doing maintenance contracts.
Yeah.
So
I remember those years. But I mean, I was 25 in 08 or 24, however old that was. It wasn't.
They were hard years.
Yeah, I don't really recall the years being so hard. It's not like I had, a couple $1 million in assets that dropped immediately. We actually started a business that was thriving in 08 when we started our fundraising machine, using vending machines as a fundraiser. That's off in 08. So I was doing really good in 08. As I say, there's always the bull market somewhere.
Yeah.
So let's go talk. So, I mentioned, Nate, people are fighting with us now. There's a host of things people are fighting with us. Right. And I'd like to touch on some of those, but one of the things I know it grinds my gears. I know it grinds Shane's gears because, you are a mentor, you've helped us dramatically, get to where we're at. I'll never say you didn't. Without you, would I've even gotten to the point I'm at now? Maybe. Would I ever gotten here so quick? No, not even remotely. So when I see a perfect example is the tiki torch. And I don't think we've talked about this before, right? You invented the tiki torch, low voltage landscape lighting. And that's one that you can put tiki torch fluid in, lights up as a tiki torch, legit. And then there's a path light, right? And we see that, I can't remember what manufacturer, I think maybe Dow or someone like that comes out brand new, now we have a 60-inch path light. No one else is doing it. We're the fucking best. And I get upset because I know, for one, that I've used 60-inch lights from you often and that you've never not had them. But I also know that that's an old, your old patent, your own design that doesn't even, you had to change it, right, for this new one. So I know for me, it pisses me off that, people are just, and no one knows, right? Because at this point, so many people have stolen all your patents and all that who knows where it came from? Who did they steal from? Was it you directly? Probably not at this point, right? But it originated from you. So does that still to this day piss you off, make you mad? Or at this point, are you just fuck it, I'm I'm moving along?
No, I mean, inherently it really pisses me off because they're capitalizing on things, and we'll just use the tiki torch. So, nobody had the tiki torch, we had gas tiki torches, things like that, right? So I wanted to make a tiki torch that had a light out of the bottom. Okay. Now, obviously, I didn't invent the tiki torch. You could go to Home Fucking Depot and buy a tiki torch, put a flame in it, right? But no one had a light coming out of the bottom of the tiki torch. So I wanted to be able to incorporate that. So I come up with this tiki torch, no problem. Now, so when I sold Unique, Toro got the rights to everything that I had. But everything has faults, right? I had a lot of products that Unique that had faults, and you go back into the day to where things are easy today. You go back before the 3D printer and the really CAD design wasn't where it's at today as far as a computer. So when you made something, you might have $25,000, $35,000, $40,000 into a prototype. And then you realize in the prototype that maybe you should have made some improvements, but there's another fucking $30,000 or $40,000 down the drain. So a lot of times you say, well, that's good enough to go to market and we can have Gen 2, Gen 3, Gen 4. So I'm going to say my Tiki Torch was Gen 1. And so when I wanted to come up with the new Tiki Torch, I knew that there was at least 5 different faults in the Tiki Torch. So I improved every one of those faults. Now, the reason I say this is the problem with the industry. You had mentioned Dower. Yeah, fucking Craig's never fucking probably installed a light in his life. So what he does, he just flies to China, relabels, and pretends he's the inventor of the tiki torch. That tiki torch is made by every single manufacturer out there, and they just get it relabeled from China. It's all shit. It's all the same. And not one of these guys had a brain, meaning that they couldn't even realize and improve it. How fucking dumb is that? That they
So the
can't
ones
look
you
at.
see sold now still have those same 5 points of failure.
Yeah, and they're the stupidest fucking things. And if anybody's ever installed these tiki torches, you know right away of the faults I'm talking about. The cap falls out because it had a stupid chain and goes flying off. Had 3 posts that hold up the inner structure. They just break off, right? There was no lens on it to protect the light bulb. There was massive glare, right? I mean, it was just idiotic and stupid, but that just proves the point to where these manufacturers aren't not manufacturers. They just buy shit that's on the shelf. And then they pretend, like you said, Matt, that they invented the motherfucker. And yeah, that does make me mad, right? Invent your own shit, right?
Yeah.
Use your own
Oh, yeah.
brain.
Well, it's,
Funny,
go ahead, Shane.
story, right? So this job we finished up last week or something. It was 200 lights. Super cool job. Man, it came out so cool. But the homeowner was getting his pool resurfaced. He spent like 70 grand to resurface his pool. He had like $1 million pool. I don't know. It was super bitching. But the pool guy, one of like the lead guys, said he used to be an outdoor lighting guy. And I don't even think it was in Texas. I think it was in another state. And he bought product from some company in California. Anyways, the funny thing was, is he started talking to the homeowner. He's like, oh yeah, like I know Nate, you know, with Unique, because he had Unique fixtures that were 20 years old. And that just, it built value back to me, because the homeowner comes to me and he's like, oh yeah, like that guy knows Nate, the lifetime lighting products that you have. And it made me look better on site. He's like, this guy must really know what he's talking about if my pool guy, you know, knew him 30 years ago.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean,
Funny
you
story.
know, and so, you know, so I don't know. So I think that, you know, getting back to what you said, half the people hate me and there's haters out there. And I think when it's all said and done, half the people, and I was never like this in construction, where this industry really drives me insane, to where, you know, in construction, in electrical, and then obviously I know plumbers and roofers and drywallers, none of us really had an ego, meaning that we all thought we were the best. It's like getting, I don't care, get into sports. You know, every fucking baseball player, every pitcher thinks they're the best pitcher. Every quarterback thinks they're the best quarterback. They have to have that self-belief system. Is that their ego? No. It's a self-fucking belief system that if they don't believe in themselves, they're going to lose. So in construction, we have that self-belief system and we want to win every day. And I want knowledge. I learned a long time ago when I started when I was 14 years old. I wanted to hang around. I wanted to get taught by the older guys that knew what they were doing, that they minimized energy going up and down a ladder one time, not 10 times. I want to learn from smart guys. These fucking guys out here today want to learn from idiots in suits, and they don't even like qualify. As we know in sales, you have to pre-qualify the customer to find out if they're just bullshitting you, not wanting to spend money or extracting information. You should be pre-qualifying mentors and pre-qualifying people that you listen to and learn from. So I learned a long time ago, I want to learn from smart people. I want to be the dumbest guy in the room.
Matt definitely knows his lighting, but I still tell him every day, hey, I'm better than you. Hey,
That's right.
I wake up to that message every fucking morning. Like, Shane, leave me alone. Like,
Right.
I'm trying, dude. I'm trying.
Right. So yeah, I think a lot of times in this industry, people can't take the truth. They can't look themselves in the mirror and say, I've been doing it wrong. Because I would see that at seminars. And I would go, I'll never forget this. So a guy worked for, you know, Focus Industries, and he's a sales guy.
What's Focus Industries?
Oh, just a
lighting?
lighting company. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
So
Yep.
anyway, but he's been doing lighting for a long, long time. And I'm talking about voltage drop, and I never have a problem with voltage drop. He says, well, that's fucking weird. How do you do that? You have a magic transformer? I mean, what do you do? He says, oh, no, I just use 12 wire and I do this. And I'm like, you never have an issue. Nope. So you can have 5 fixtures at 100 feet away. Yep, I could have 5 fixtures 100 feet away. me and my partner Randy had just got back from Vegas and flown. We took a day, en route to this convention. We stopped in Vegas and we had a crap system back in those days. So anyway, we won like $5,000. So I got like $5,000 in my pocket. Literally put it on the table and I go, I happen to have a transformer and 5 fixtures at my booth. I have a $5,000. I'll bet you to $1 that you're going to have about a 5-volt drop at 100 feet. He goes, I'll take that fucking bet. So I go over there, and of course, we have a 5-volt drop at 100 feet. And he's mystified. He's looking under the table, thinking it's magic, thinking it's an illusion. I'm doing something wrong. Truth of the matter is, he had never checked with a voltmeter, ever. Ever.
Oh, so he's like Shane and just looks into the light. Yeah, looks
Right.
good.
Blinds me. Stars.
So I think a lot of people can't deal with reality. They want to double check because they can't live with themselves if they've been doing it wrong for 10 years. And for my background in electrical, fuck, if I've been doing it bad for 10 years, I want to know today how to do it correctly. Because I think that's the big issue in landscape lighting, which is a lot of things about problems in the industry, misconceptions. Are you an artistic side of it, or you just, front light a tree with putting a light in front of a tree? Is bad lighting looks better than good lighting, right? So it's real easy to do bad lighting with low voltage and misconceptions and all these things because there's no consequence. And let's give a consequence that everybody can relate to. Now in electrical, there's a consequence. I can burn down a fucking building. So I better do it correctly. And I better adhere to the National Electrical Code. If you're an irrigation guy and you're putting sprinklers on grass, if you overwater, underwater, the consequence, grass is going to die. What's the consequence in outdoor lighting, right? Probably bad. We all know bad lighting looks better than good lighting, right? So that's the problem.
No.
No lighting.
I know, right?
I mean, bad lighting looks better than no lighting. Not bad lighting looks better than good lighting.
Did I say that?
Yeah, twice now.
But I knew what you meant. I've learned.
Bad lighting looks better than no lighting. Correct. So, but anyway, I think
let's go. Yeah, let's kind of dive into that, right? Because, there's some obviously, when you get into it, there is art. It's an art form. It can be artistic. I'm not saying everyone that does it is artistic or is presenting it as art, but there's a lot of guys that are, and they've been doing it 10, 20 years. Smart guys. I'm not even saying they're not smart, but they'll come in for like a new guy, and they'll talk about, well, you should be using like 5,000 Kelvin or a greener light on green trees. Use 2,700 on the home because it's warmer and more inviting. And we teach, train, and educate guys like we use 3,000 Kelvin probably 95% of the time, maybe more. But some of those guys push back that well, I'm an artist. Okay, we get that, right? You can do that, but when we're training guys to make a business out of this, right? We as artists like 3,000 Kelvin, and because we can also relate it to business, make more money, make it easier for everybody. But that's a huge thing. I think the misconception versus artistic differences. So like Shane, let's start with you with this question, right? When we're talking about this, when guys tell guys they're learning from us, they should use a slightly green light bulb on an evergreen tree. Is that a misconception? Is that a lie? Is that an artistic difference? How do you take that?
That's a good question. My first thought is, well, that's just dumb. But I try to be a little more well-rounded, right? Well, let me look at it at least. I think from a maintenance perspective, well, it's dumb. I think, you don't want to keep different shades, different Kelvins, different beam spreads. That is dumb on a maintenance perspective. I find it personally hard to insult someone or tell them I think it's dumb because maybe some people like that. Maybe there's a customer that likes that.
Sure.
Me personally, well, I mean, if you're asking me, no, I think that's dumb and you shouldn't do it. But, I don't know. I mean, all artists are different. So I want to try to respect that. But I would still tell them it's dumb.
What about you, Nate? When you hear, let's just take that specifically. You should use a green bulb on evergreen trees and 2,700 on the home. Misconception, lie, or artistic difference?
Or all of the above. So let me answer it I'm going to say a more concise answer, I think, is I'm looking at Matt, you have a pink sweater on, Shane, you have a black sweater on. I have a dark navy blue with this fucking thing. Who's to say that I'm better dressed than you? You're better dressed than me. In the eye, I fucking hate that pink sweater. Shane loves it. You love it. That doesn't mean you're wrong, right?
Right.
And I don't actually love it. I mean, I hate it. I do like it. But
I
so the
hate it.
point is who's wrong or right. So for me, there's a reason I do everything. So there's a reason I don't use a greener bulb or a 4000K or a 5000K. And there's a lot of reasons why. Of course, a homeowner might like 4 or 5000K or the greener light bulb, like he likes the pink shirt. Not my fucking shirt, right? He hates stripes for God reasons, So I'm not going to give the homeowner the choice. I'm the artist and I pick and choose what I want to do based upon my artistic style. So the reason so everybody knows, is don't go with this myriad of choices. Shane said it's a maintenance nightmare, a nightmare in maintenance. And the other thing is, we know that homeowners, maybe I have a maintenance contract coming up in 2 months. They got a party coming out. The wife is going, God damn it, you got 3 light bulbs that are out, right? So he just runs to Home Depot. And obviously we all know this. You probably work for Home Depot. You're a dipshit. You can't get a real job. So the dipshit at Home Depot is alternating you some China light bulb that doesn't work, and it's maybe a 2700K, and you had 4000K in it. Or he's giving you a 4000K and you had something else in it, and it's a 6 watt or 7 watt bulb, not a 4 watt bulb. So he gives you the wrong bulb. It alters and changes the lighting design. Maybe it blows fuses in the transformer, overloads the transformer, fucking everything up. Homeowners, they're all liars. So they're calling you up now. Oh, the fucking lighting system doesn't work. And of course, the first question you always say is, well, have you done anything? Absolutely not. We know you lectured us and told us never to touch the system. Call us. We do it. Of course, you go out there. You have to go through this whole, diagnosis and figure out they change light bulbs, and it's a big nightmare. So I hate homeowners touching the system. So if I can generate it down to 1 or 2 light bulbs, technically, I can give the homeowner a first aid packet. I can give them light bulbs in advance, right? I can keep everything simple. And then the other thing, as far as, I think I've shared it before, to where, using the same light bulb taught me placement. And then the Kelvin temperatures, the reason I've always stuck with 3000 is I like just enhancing, nature. I don't want to alter it. 3000 is the only light bulb that doesn't alter what you're lighting up. So so it's very easy for, trees to change color, right? Trees to drop their leaf. Now maybe you could argue, and I would agree, hey, that green light bulb does look better on that tree. But guess what? When the fucking tree turns amber or orange or red, it looks like shit. When the tree drops its leaves, it looks like shit, right? So there's so many reasons why I stick to the same color, right? Maybe you got some incident light hitting the white wall, and now the white wall is an eerie green and looks like shit. So to me, when guys are out there preaching this shit, it tells me they haven't installed tens of thousands of lights like I have, and have realized the unintended consequence about putting a light bulb, right? That's a different color.
Yeah.
Thoroughly.
Shane, so, what about you? What's something you've seen, especially in our group, whether you've talked to a guy, that got advice from a supply house, or you see comments in the group of people giving advice or direction that have been in the industry? What's like one thing you see them tell a new guy that makes you kind of cringe or just makes you upset?
Well, that's a good question. The first thing that comes up to mind, because this was like just last week or something, there was a guy that was commenting on a post. Someone had just landed like a 40 or 50 like job or something, and the post said, how much did you charge? And the answer was $275. And someone responded that charging $275 a light equals bankruptcy. Like, I just had to chime in and give a more thorough answer. Now, there's guys like Chris Mitchell out there, posted that he charges $700 a fixture. And, well, that's amazing, right? Like, more power to you. You're super profitable. And my debate was not, should you charge more than $275? Anyone can chime in on that. The debate was, will you go bankrupt charging $275? Like, well, no. Maybe if you're doing 10 light jobs, and that's all you're doing, and you're charging $275 a fixture, maybe. But when you're upwards of 25 fixtures, 50 fixtures, you are making money. If you can install with 2 guys over 20 fixtures a day, which if you had 2 guys, you should be able to. or if you're buying material like Lifetime, I don't even know what it's like to pre-assemble fixtures before a job anymore because they come pre-assembled. So like my guys can easily get to work within minutes with no pre-assembly, no real effort loading up the truck, and knock out 20 lights. Well, 20 lights times 275 is what is that, 5,000 or something? So if you're
50 give or take, yeah.
Yeah, your material cost is maybe 2,000, maybe 2,100. So you're telling me that I'm going to go bankrupt making over 2,500 after material and labor a day?
Mm-hmm.
No, go fuck yourself. You're not going to go bankrupt making that. So I thought it was just a dumb comment. Now, could you charge more and profit more? Well, of course. Is 275 low? I don't know. It depends on your overhead. It depends on what kind of material you're using. It depends on, yada, 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 yada. Depends on how many lights you guys can install in a day. But for my team, well, 275, we would never go bankrupt if we had that 4 days a week.
Well, I think if you extracted that information, Shane, that's a good point. What's your overhead? So when at the very beginning, when I was responding to Matt, it's saying keep it small. Well, I worked out of my fucking house. So if I took $3,000 a day, which you just said in that scenario, that's $60,000 a month, $720,000 a month, and I have no overhead. I'm working out of my house. I'm making more money than that. Probably the guy charging $700 a light because he has to have massive overhead. Just going to assume that, right? So it's not.
Maybe.
It's what your GP
Yeah.
is and what you're putting in your pocket, right?
I will say too, like me and Shane had this conversation, right? 275 a light. Okay, so for what California, Nate, you can't comprehend this, right? There's months that I can't install landscape lighting, right? So for me, right, 275 a light, may or may not, depends how big the job is, right? Could do bankruptcy because I don't go for all the small jobs, I'm only going for big jobs. So like I live for like big job. I don't target to get a bunch of jobs, right? Because I know those 4 months are out the picture. I have like 198 working days is the average. So, someone comparing that, but so my minimum might be more because I have to make up the overhead on those 100 days that I can't go work.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have that issue. So that's never an issue for me.
Yeah.
And I would say like our overhead is still high, right? Like we've got a salesperson, we've got an office manager, we've got an office building, we've got trucks, but we buy everything cash and we don't have debt. So, I mean, it's probably lower than most, but it's not.
But for the comment about bankruptcy, right? If any company anywhere, even New York, right? If I was doing a job a day at 275 a light at 20 fixtures every single day, I would be making money. I would not be even close to bankrupt. So I don't know if that's a fixture price problem that guy's commenting, or maybe just not enough work. Because if you only get 10 jobs a year and charge 275, you're bankrupt.
Right. You're going bankrupt. Yeah. Yep. I think that's a good topic right there.
All right. Well, we have been going on. We're at like the 48-minute mark. I don't even know where time went. This seemed like a really good one. Nate, excuse me. It was really good to hear some of the history. I think we should explore that more because guys can, really hear more about the history of the industry. Yes, you're a pioneer. You're not the inventor of low voltage lighting. We call you the godfather because, it was invented, but you came in, you helped lead all these changes and innovations and made it possible for so many of us, even guys who have no idea who you are, they're able to make a living and feed their family because of the time, energy, and money that you devoted into this passion of yours. So, even from the guys that don't know, thank you for contributing to this industry, Nate. It's appreciated across the country and probably across the world, really.
We salute you.
We salute. Oh, and by the way, I can't pay that invoice you sent me yet.
So I definitely appreciate that, guys. And for all you guys, other guys out there, haters or non-haters, I'm going to take, and obviously Matt and Shane were on the same page for that, but I really want to get a number of set guys, whether it be 40 guys or 100 guys. There's a set number to where you want to become lighting assassins. You want to know how to fucking really make money on a job. Right. And it isn't taking a 275 and I'm going to tell you, oh, here, drink this snake oil. And if you charge 500 light, you're going to make money. That's just an idiotic statement. you make money by separating yourself and creating, we call it lighting artists or lighting compositions, and really separating yourself and taking 20 nice jobs, go to 80 or, whatever the number is, by putting a lot of value to a homeowner. So any of you guys out there that want to become a set number, part of our exclusive group, make sure you call us.
Hell yeah.
We'll get you.
And housekeeping, when you're hearing this, it'll be my training this week, which is April 10th and 11th. At the time of recording this, I have maybe one spot left, maybe two, or maybe they're closed. I didn't check. And then we got Shane down in Dallas, Texas on April 24th and 25th doing a live training. Check it out, lightingtradeschool.com. Nate's April one sold out for the live in-person training, but he just put another one on for May. I think it was the week of May 5th. Is that correct, Nate?
Yeah, May 5th, and it's the last one for the year.
It's on the website, and I know last one for the year for Nate for the 5-day intensive. So if you don't want to miss out, and you don't, if you want to become a lighting assassin, and then there's the virtual design course. I think the next one starts here next week.
April 14th, I believe. April
14th. So check it out, lightingtradeschool.com. Let us help you make a lot of money in outdoor lighting. Other than that, have a great week. Now go make some damn money.
To a brighter future, boys.